Hello and welcome to the Change Gang podcast with me, your host, Laura Ordile. I'm here to help you hold on to your sanity and your soul as you move through big change. I'm here to guide you from frustration to flow in your life, bridging the practical and the woo, just for you. Let's go. Hey gang, I hope your week has been a wonderful one and that you have some spring popping in on your side. We have definitely some spring weather here in Montana. Goes from 60, 70 degrees to snowing overnight. So, interesting, but it's all good. I love spring and I love summer, and today we're going to have some fun and talk about some new things, just like in the spring when new things are popping up. So today we're going to talk about intuition. And it might go against a little bit the way that I talk about it, against the norm of what you usually hear about it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you agree or disagree, or maybe you're just not sure yet. Let me know after you listen to this. Okay, we all have intuition. And here's a little secret. It is your first sense, not your sixth, as it's so often referred to. Our intuition funnels information in through all of our senses. You might need to know that the person that you're meeting with this afternoon is the person to help you get your business to the next step. So in order for your intuition to let you know that, it will start to channel information to your senses. You might hear some comments about this person from people around you, or something pops up about them for you to read. You might see a flash of a picture in your mind where you see him sitting next to you overlooking paperwork, or it might just come as a feeling of excitement and expectation in your body when you're telling someone about this meeting. Your intuition is in constant communication with you and is using everyday things around you to get the information to you in the way it thinks will best serve you. Now here's the deal. You have to notice the things that it's providing. And yes, that takes practice. Just like every other muscle, intuition gets stronger the more you use it. And it doesn't always come in the quiet of meditation or a Zen state. I know a lot of people will say, you have to get quiet, you have to, take time and listen. But intuition is just as likely to come to you when you're in high gear or in a heightened state of awareness. You don't always have to be in that quiet state to receive the information that you need. You often hear about gut reactions or someone saying they acted quickly out of instinct. Well, that's intuition. That's the information coming through. And because your reasoning brain was probably kicked out of the way in that moment, sometimes that gut reaction comes or that instinct thing comes right in a moment when you absolutely have to act. So your reasoning brain is out of the way, and that gives your intuition a chance to step in and guide you right then and there. So, hey, why don't I explain a little bit more on the whole senses giving information thing, okay? If you ask yourself a few questions and then literally write out the answers to some of these really simple, easy questions that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, you'll get what I mean. Now, you can either literally write out information when you're doing this, or we all know that we have that little recording app on our phone most of the time these days, or you can get one. And that's a great way to do it as well, because you're even less likely to edit when you're speaking into something like that. So it really allows the flow to move on. But here are a few questions that you can ask yourself, and they will help you to get information intuitively. Okay, so one of them is, what do you see? What do you see in front of you right now? What color is it? Does that color bring up any thoughts? Is it big or small? What does the thing you're looking at remind you most of? Next one, what do you hear? What do you hear in the moment? Is it loud? Is it barely there? Is it soothing and comfortable, or is it kind of bothersome? And again, what does that sound make you think of? Next, what do you taste? Bitter, sweet, nothing? Nothing is an answer. You can write nothing. Or is it clear, fresh? How would you describe it? And describe it in detail. What do you feel? And where do you feel it? Is there something new that you noticed in your body when you asked yourself that question? Something different than it was a moment ago? Do the feelings bring up any memories? These are the questions that will help you to start working with your intuition. Listen with the whole of your body, what the information is, what is it giving you? And it's important to pay attention to all the thoughts that come to you as you answer those questions and what those thoughts lead to. What ideas, what memories, the feelings, and literally, even if it's a funny, silly thought that comes to mind, note it down. Go with it. You might actually, here's an example, you might have a bottle of water sitting in front of you. Okay, it's a bottle of water. Now what? Well, tell me about it in detail. Is it more or less than half full? What is the color of the label? What does the water mean to you? Is it comfort? Is it necessity? Does it make you think of playing in the water? Maybe that leads you to spring or summer or something else. Maybe it leads to a memory of an absolutely beautiful time that you had. Those are the details that you want to write down. You want to let your imagination and your thoughts guide you into all the detail that you can think of around that thing. Okay? And then maybe you answer the question, what do you hear? It could be simply nothing. Quiet. But what does that quiet mean for you? Is it nothing? Or is it calming? And maybe now that you think about it, you notice the fan is moving in the room, circulating the air, moving one way and then another, going back and forth. So all of those things can be useful things to jot down or to speak when you're speaking, because they can be meaningful in relation to the question you're asking of your intuition. Here's what I mean. Let's say you're asking about your business, maybe what your business will look like 6 months from now. Now I'll explain in a minute how to not let your question get in the way of your answers, but for the moment, let's just say that's what you're getting information on. So now you go to the information you have, let's say about the water bottle. It was over half full, and the color of the label was blue and white, and it brought up memories of summer and the fun that it always was, as a kid in the summer, to be playing in the water, to be having adventure, enjoying your time, the joy that you felt, maybe all the green and that came around, maybe the water was on watering the grass, and it was growing, and how wonderful it was. Okay, so let's carry that a little further into how you would maybe interpret it to be useful to you, right? So you're asking about your business and you get information that makes you feel good and happy and abundant, right? Because the grass was growing and It was green, and I talk about color. I use color a lot intuitively, and actually I'll talk about that on another episode. But for now, let's just say I'm going to say the color of the label's blue and white. And for me, that's all around truth and clarity and wisdom. So now my intuition is telling me that in 6 months, my business will be growing. I'll be happy and in an abundant state. I'll have the wisdom and clarity that I need as a part of it. It's all good, right? Did you follow all that? Now you're thinking, oh, you're crazy. Yeah, I might be, but it actually works. Now, I can do the same thing with the hearing in the room, right? It was quiet, and that's calming to me. Yet there's movement going on. Things are circulating, and maybe there's a bit of back and forth, but overall, things will be fresh and soothing. The air is a relief, right? So do you see what I mean? Do you see how you can apply that in the business sense when you're asking about it? Now, here's the thing. If that wasn't comfortable for you, maybe you say with the sound around it that the quiet was not comfortable. You could write that down instead. It was too quiet, and the fan is on, but it's not helping enough. The movement of the air is slow and not cooling things or clearing things the way I want it to. So now you've got a whole different read on things, right? And in having that information, that read of maybe things aren't looking as comfortable as you'd like, you're able to start the process of change now in this moment and change the outcome. Intuition is not fate. It is fluid and changes as we make changes. Now, I said I'd give you a little more information on the questions you're asking and how to get the best answer for yourself. And the best way to do this is called a blind read. So you would write out a few of the questions on some strips of paper, or if you love little sticky notes, you could use the little sticky notes. And then you grab some blank envelopes. And I recommend writing down 3 to 5 or 6 questions. No less than 3, because then you're not really going to get a super blind good read on it. And if you get more than maybe 6, you're probably going to be a little overwhelmed. So just start there. Start somewhere in there. And you'll put the questions that you've written out on these pieces of paper into the envelopes. And then you mix them all up. You don't look at them, mix them all up. And then you write some numbers on the outside of the envelopes. 1, 2, 3, however many you have. Okay? So now you sit down, you pull out one of the envelopes, whichever one. You can start in order, or you can pull out, number 5 if that's where you want to start. You pull out an envelope, you sit down, and you ask yourself those questions. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I feel? All right? And on the feel part, I am going to say real quick, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but it's always good to do a quick check just before you start doing this process, so you kind of notice what you notice in your body. Maybe you have a little bit of a backache, or maybe your foot hurts. So that's something that is just already there. It's not something that you're going to write down that you notice. But now after you've done that quick check and you go in and you say, okay, what do I feel? You'll be able to go, okay, I just got tight in my chest, or I just got a headache, or my foot just started tingling. So you'll be able to write those details down at that point, okay? And you write them all for as long as you can write until you come to almost a natural stop, and you'll feel that. It's not that, oh my God, what do I write in the beginning? Once you start flowing, you'll write or speak until you come to a natural stopping place. And then you go on to whatever the next question is, okay? Let your imagination take you down the road and tell you a story around the one thing that you're noticing, all right? Or a couple of things if you're noticing a couple of things. But go into detail. It will actually give you helpful information and details around what you want to know. This is also a really fun and great exercise to do with a friend. You can exchange questions with a friend and do the readings for them, and then get back together and share what you both came up with. Yeah, you can actually also, if you want to, take their questions and your questions and mix them up and put them all in the envelopes, and then you really don't know if you're reading for them or yourself. So it just, again, takes that a bit of that reasoning brain out of the mix. And the reason I suggest doing this is exactly that. It gets the reasoning brain out of the way. It lets you just write or speak whatever is flowing to your mind without editing it. You don't need to edit because the information is what it is, and you have no idea at that moment what it connects to. So you're not trying to make it fit to anything. And it might feel a little silly or weird when you first start doing this, but trust me, it gets easier and more fun, and you will see how the details relate. You really will. So a quick note here about the questions you put out to your intuition. Really think about what you're asking. Okay, I suggest framing them outside of just yes or no answers being required. It allows more room for you to get more detailed information. If you were to ask, will I get this job? The answer might be yes. But 6 months from now, you'd really wish you hadn't gotten it. Instead, a better question would be, how would getting this job affect my life? Or, what will this job look like for me in 6 months? And if you really just want to go to something where you're looking for a yes or no answer, be sure to frame it really well. So maybe instead of, will I successfully invade the kingdom? It might be better to ask, will I successfully invade the kingdom with an acceptable number of losses? Big difference, right? Can you tell I've been watching The Last Kingdom? It's apparently showing right now. Anyway, you can use your intuition for specifics or in general ways. You can go specifically to guide you in business or in relationships, or you can just go to it and say, what do I need to know today? What will be helpful for me today? What should I pay attention to today? Things like that. So start listening more as you go and play little games with yourself each day. You can sit down and do that exercise just like that. Or you can, and you can use, I don't think I said this, I probably need to back up a minute. You can use those envelopes, like number one you can go in and say, okay, I'm just going to use that as what do I see, and answer it that way. And then envelope number 2 might be, what do you hear? So you go in and do that. And then number 3 is, what do I taste? Or you can sit down and take envelope number 1 and go through all of those and just write one little statement about what you hear, what you see, what you feel, and kind of go overall. I would suggest doing it the first way because you can go into much more detail and get those things really in order. But you can use it on a daily basis and sit down and do a quick read of, what do I see, what do I hear, what do I feel, and kind of use it as just, what do I need to know today, right? And practice in fun other little ways with your intuition just to kind of play with it. So if you're waiting at maybe a bank of elevators where, yes, there would be more than one, step into that moment of, what do I feel would be the one that's going to show up first. Don't just make a guess. Kind of step into that energy a little bit of your intuitive senses and say, it's the one on the right, or it's number 3. And see how you do. And now here's a really big but right here. Do not beat yourself up when you do not get the right answer, okay? No one is ever going to get 100%. If anyone ever tells you that they are 100% accurate in their abilities and their intuition and their psychic mojo, whatever it is, turn around and go the other way, because no one ever is. They just aren't. And that's okay, because we're working with a couple different languages here, and you'll start to build an intuitive language through the things that you start to see regularly, and it shows you on a regular basis. So I know that, like I said in the beginning, I know that if blue shows up and white, what they're going to mean for me pretty regularly. A lot of times it will show up in terms of I'll see a logo or something with colors, and I know that that's something to do with a business. I don't always see the logo clearly, but I will get like a symbol of a logo and then the colors. And so if I'm doing an intuitive reading, I know to tell that person, hey, look for a business to work with that has these colors in their logo. There you go. So it takes practice, and there are a lot more ways to tap into using this wonderful, wonderful thing that we call intuition. And if you'd like to do that some more, if you'd like to explore that some more, just reach out to me. I'd love to share with you some more exercises anytime. Or if you'd like to work intuitively with me, get an intuitive reading, I absolutely do that. So I hope you try some of what I've shared here, because you will see results. You will. Intuition is a part of you, and it will respond for you. Know that and go with that. I hope today's episode was interesting to you in some way and fun. If so, hey, find someone to share it with. Maybe they need to hear it too, or maybe they'll just enjoy it. If you'd like, go ahead and grab my tips on supercharging your success. It includes a free short meditation to do just that. You can find that at bit.ly/supercharge your success. Until next time, happy day.